Namaste. I'm Sandeep Asok, a proud Indian living in Frankfurt, Germany. On the occasion of the 75th year of Indian independence, Hindu Verein, in collaboration with the Indian Consulate in Frankfurt, has come up with a 60-minute documentary film to trace the history of the migration of Indians to Germany over the various decades. Hindu Verein is a cultural organization for promoting human dignity, Sanatana Dharma, and pluralism in Germany. In this video, we get an opportunity to understand the experiences shared by some of the amazing citizens who migrated to Germany over various decades, starting from 1960s. In Germany, we now even have the third or the fourth generations of the initial Indian migrant population. On the 75th year of Indian independence, I strongly believe that the Indo-German relationship keeps growing more and more stronger. Vande Mataram.
So my name is Indu Prakash Pandey, and I came over to Germany in 1963, June 23rd, and on the invitation of the Heidelberg University, where I had to work in South Asia Institute. So in South Asia Institute, as a lecturer, or what they call it here, lector. And so I was lector here for teaching Hindi language and literature. 1962 founded this South Asia Institute. And when they founded that, they needed teachers for Hindi, because that was most important at that time, because Hindi was going to be the national language of India. The NATO had informed all the universities here that after some time it will be the language of the people, that means it will be the national language accepted, and because of that you will need people who are experts in Hindi, because all the documents and all those things in the embassies and other things, they will be all in Hindi. They invited me because I have been teaching in India in the Elphinstone College since 1949. Time DDR was there. This was 63 I came. And at that time DDR was there, and India had accepted the DDR, recognized as a nation, as a country, and had relationship, that means ambassadorial relations with, diplomatic relations with DDR. So it was from that point of view, the upper point of view, it was not very friendly situation, but at a general level there was no problem of the DDR on that way, because when I came here, I found in the rooms, lecture rooms, always a picture in every room with soll es so bleiben, that it is divided. Germany divided there, they showed, and then there was a question there, soll es immer so bleiben. There were about, in Heidelberg alone, there were about 65 students studying from India, from all over India, from Karnataka, from Andhra Pradesh, and from Hyderabad, and in North India also some. And so there were people who were studying, most of them, medicine. At that time it was also not easy, because there were no planes were flying from India to Germany. I had no need of visa, and I came, I had the appointment letter, the invitation of the university, and that was all. So first I had to fly from there, Bombay, to Karachi, in a Viscount, a small aeroplane of Pakistan Airlines. Got down at Frankfurt. At the Frankfurt, I had a heavy suitcase I had to carry, and then I just wanted to have some coolie. I did not know Gepäckträger and the coolie, and there was no coolie and nobody. And my suitcase was already 22 kilos, and then I had prepared myself for the winter. In fact, that Germany would be cold, as I was told all the time, and it is cold. So I had my chester we used to call in English, the overcoat, and that heavy woolen I got made, and naturally suit, tie, and everything I changed into because this would not do, dhoti kurta. And so I had my woolen suit, tie, and all that. And then I was perspiring like anything. And she sat down from Heidelberg in the train, and somebody helped me perhaps, and then I got into the train. And in Heidelberg, I had studied the whole thing so well. I knew the street where I had to go. I kept it in the lega, which room there is the stations you can keep your baggage. So I left my suitcase there, and then with the handbag only, I just went. I knew also which tram would be going to that direction, where I had to meet these professors. Two things. One thing was Goethe and Schiller. These two great writers had inspired in me the feel that I should one day visit this country where these people were born and brought up. What kind of country it was that they proud is this character created by Goethe. And so that was one thing. Second thing was Beethoven, the music. The music part, that was very interesting to me. Third thing out of this my area interest, there was a kind of astoundment. I was really, that within 20 years, this economic wonder they have created, what kind of people they are. Just they had a war which destroyed almost 80% the country. Nothing to live, nothing to eat, nothing. That was the problem, situation. And that country, and I always put myself, in India, if we had destroyed like that, could we have rebuilt India in even 3 generations? I got a kind of opposition from the institute people because I did not come from the organizations or the cliques, as I call them. They had already formed in the beginning. They thought that if I could get into some important position or create some, here I will be more important. They had this and that. So Even I was told very clearly, Mr. Pandey, you were head of the department of the Elphinstone College. Don't think that you will be the director of South Asia Institute. I said, I've not come for that, to become South Asia Institute's director. I have come to teach Hindi and I will do that. No, it was not what we wanted. But neither Gandhi wanted, nor I never we wanted. Even to the extent that Gandhi told last moment Jawaharlal Nehru and Patel that let Jinnah become the Prime Minister of India and then let's manage our own affairs ourselves. But Bapu, aap keh rahe hain, you are saying that. And Nehru was not at all pleased with that, nor was Patel. And so the result was Pakistan, division of. And that division, you have no idea what it meant. The trains were coming this side to that side, cut bodies. Lakhs of people were killed during that process between Punjab and this side and that side, Punjab now. And the atmosphere was so terrible in India. Then we Gandhians, even when Pakistan and India was created, we Gandhians, we decided that as we fought against the British government and drove them out, so also we will fight to create a unity of us two brothers. Younger brother is at the moment angry. We will be together. And we will go all to Pakistan and start a kind of movement, a Satyagraha Andolan, and then bring back a very great person, which is Gandhi ji also, Bhai Sundar Lal. Now, Bhai Sundar Lal, he had written the British Raj in India in 2 volumes, and he had gone even with this purpose, but by that time they started fighting, and immediately after independence they started fighting for Kashmir. 1947, 15th, when it was created, Gandhi was in Noakhali, not in Delhi. He was working for the reunification and unity of the Hindu Muslims. I was here fasting. So on 15th of August 1947, I was fasting. But it was, I did not celebrate anything. And thereafter, naturally, when it was created and it was going on, and so no other way, willy-nilly, except, but still, I would love to create a unified India. I would love to see the whole country together.
I'm Surendra Menon from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. We started a cricket club and we were invited to play cricket with the British Army in Berlin. And believe it or not, we had a good game. We could take the military, US military train to Berlin after I managed to talk to the leadership in the US Army in Frankfurt. And we had a good tournament in Berlin. And the Brits were very smart. They arranged a big luncheon for us during the lunch break. And many of my Indian colleagues in the cricket team fell and were attracted by the drinks offered. So you can imagine what happened to us after lunch when we continued with the game. We lost tremendously because none of our guys could run. They could not stand on their feet because they drank heavily. We embarrassed ourselves. And these are things, this is where I'd say we lack discipline. We take everything for granted. And one of the things I've learned from the school back in India, the Irish Brothers School, was discipline. Indian items, the most interesting Indian item which was run by a grocery store was a German grocery store selling tea products and spices and pickles and hot sauces. I could not cook, so basically I used to buy bread, loaves, eat that, have my breakfast, but my lunches and everything was mostly taken. I used to eat in the cafeteria, canteen, in the dining facilities at the military base. So food was not a problem, but evening, yes. Evening dinner was a problem. So I'd manage with some soup or bread. Germany, I don't see any discrepancy. I don't see any what should I say, racial discrimination. I have not experienced that in my 50 years. We have more racial discrimination, I would say, back home, which we don't want to admit. The opportunities given is tremendous. You need to be a team player. And I find the US military was one of the best employers I had. They gave me, I did not have a degree because I didn't, but they paid for my master's, my undergraduate program, BA Business Administration degree from the University of Maryland, and wanted me to go further for my master's. And I said, no, that's not possible because I have a family. Opportunities were tremendous. They said you can grow with and the training they provided was good. You had to prove your loyalty, your sincerity, and be a valid, valuable team player. And that gave me an opportunity to progress pretty high in the military as a civilian. I was given lead of assignments with a team of military officers, and I had to do presentations to the foreign military, and I enjoyed my job. The basic difference is the migrants coming in the 1990s to 1921 time frame, most are qualified, are well educated, have good experience, and the German industry and the mentality is that, particularly in the software business, Indians prove to be leading. One of the drawbacks I find among the Indians is that they don't mix with the Germans. And they tend to complain about the mentality. Well, I think the important thing to learn from this is we have to learn as human beings to mix with the people, learn the culture, take part in the cultural activities, and learn to appreciate and not always criticize. If we go from Kerala to Gujarat to Rajasthan, we have the same situation. We have to adjust. We may not like the mentality. My second child was born in Frankfurt, so the responsibility grew. I thought I would work for 4 or 5 years and then go back to India. But the children had already grown up to be 5, 6 years old. And they said, we are not going to India. We would like to continue in Germany. Can you not join one of the airlines? We can fly back every year. I said, I cannot afford for the current time frame, but later on, as we go along, and I get more money, income is higher, then we can travel. One of the drawbacks I find from the younger generation coming, everybody is thinking, is converting. In the old days, let me go back and say, in the old days when the D mark was there, a D mark was worth only about 7 rupees in the exchange rate. Today a euro is over 75 to 80 rupees. So immediate conversion, what an IT person or the new generation Indians coming, when they earn, they think there's a lot of money, but they don't realize how much is cut in social taxes, social costs. The saving potential in Germany is not very high. If you want to lead a comfortable life, you want to have a choice life, it is tough. The facility that you get in India is much more. I'd say you can save more in India and come as consultants abroad, work for a few months. Because one of the things I'm finding the younger generation coming here is they want everything Indian, but in Germany. And are very slow to accept the German tradition and German mentality. It is not easy. We are mostly people who like to talk long, get together, have parties, celebrate every opportunity we get, and we are not soft, we are loud. And our cooking Indian spices is very tempting, but the air is so, let's not call it polluted, but the fragrance stays long in the air and in the surrounding. It is good to see so many Indians coming here.
My name is Jayalakshmi Narayanaswami. My husband's name is Narayanaswami, and actually both of us belong to Kerala. My husband comes from Trichy. I come from Palakkad. Even though I belong to Kerala, I have been brought up in Delhi because my father was a central government employee in the Ministry of Finance. My husband was, after his graduation in Kerala Varma College, he got a job in Air India in Bombay. I was working some small offices in government office, and I learned some shorthand typing and little not computers, meter or something like that time. Learned I was doing some job. I am being the eldest in the family. In our family, my father didn't want to continue my graduation. So he started looking for the marriage. Somehow we got married end of 65. Then we were in Bombay for some time. Then since my husband was working in Air India, he got a temporary working for 1 week or 1 month or something in Frankfurt office. Because there were lot of work pending from here. He was looking after the Germany, Europe part of the accounts or something like that. And since the returns are not coming for him, his boss sent him to look after that. Like that, he came alone somewhere in 69. He was about to come back, but it was prolonged due to shortage of staff in accounts department in the Air India. In the meantime, I also got a transfer in Bombay, working in airport, customs for some time. In the meantime, I took long leave and joined my husband. After 70, my husband's temporary posting was confirmed for another 3 years. Like that, we started our life in Frankfurt. That time it was really very difficult to because we didn't have any friends here, and none of us knew any of single language, single word of the language. It was really difficult. So somehow we managed, and that time even in TV also we didn't have that much channels. Only 3 channels, that too only all in German. Like that, it is life was going on, and somehow I also got, somebody came like an angel, and he got a job for me in the Commerce Bank because of my experience and something in India. So then I was appointed a typist in international department. That time we were living in a small one room, something like that. Then later on, when it was confirmed that my husband is going to stay for more longer, we looked for a 2-room apartment. That time we didn't have any Indian restaurant, we didn't have any Indian vegetables. So somehow we tried to learn to live with the English vegetables, what is available. And we being purely vegetarian, milk and butter, all those things were available, so we could pull on our life. That time, even the shops are Monday to Friday, even the grocery shops are open only morning 10 to 6. So we have to, after our work, my husband used to work very late in the office, even that time also. Then he used to get lot of visitors who are vegetarian, or who has to confirm the tickets or something like that. They came to know one vegetarian person is working in the accounts. They came in search of him. Like that, we used to get a lot of guests also at home. In that meantime, there was no any State Bank of India full-fledged branch here. So he asked my husband whether he is interested to join the State Bank of India because they are planning to open a full-fledged branch. My husband said that he cannot decide because he has to go back to India and he has to ask his boss. He went, he met his boss, he said, better you carry on. That is the life started. Even that time also we used to get lot of visitors because we have very good friends contact in Air India. So those who are go to America, on the way they take the journey here and they'll stay with us. Even though like that is our Indian culture, to entertain or to accommodate the people 1 day, 2 day, and to give them what are the things to see, guide the tourists like that. Later on, after 15 years, only slowly some Indian shops started. Who was having electrical shop, he started grocery shop. He was having his electrical shop just opposite to the Air India or something, same building. He started seeing the Indian community is increasing. He started the grocery shop. Slowly, only after 10 years, 15 years only, the shops also, like America or India, they extended. And that on Saturday, that time, also only up to 1 o'clock the shops are open. So within that time, you have to finish your shopping. In the morning, you have to. So slowly, this all, I would say, end of 90 or something like that, or 1980, they started opening the shops up to 8 o'clock. That was a little bit helpful for us. I should say, in beginning in the Frankfurt, when you want to search the flat or when you have to change the flat or something, that time we had really very tough problem because these flat owners, they were not giving so easily to the foreigner. That times, up to say, we stayed in 2-room flat near the Main River for 18 years. Then we used to get a lot of people. The 2-room was not sufficient. Then we moved to a 3-room. That time we were in search of that time. Many people Friday evening will buy the the paper where a lot of advertisement comes. Will mark telephone. Some of them, when they hear that we are non-German or something, they'll say the flat has gone. Some people give the appointment. By the time we go, they'll say no. That difficulty we had that time. But later on only they had respect to Indians when they came to know about I think now they don't have that much. Here, material life is maybe, it looks very comfortable and all those things, but our India has got a lot of full value because we had a lot of highly, educated people and saints and all those things, and our culture is still like meditation and our Ayurveda and yoga. These things are respected by these Western people, and especially the neem leaves, our that curcuma, pepper. These are very much highly appreciated in Western countries, the medicinal value of that. So we should admire our India in spite of the huge population, in spite of other difficulties. We should admire our India, it is still thriving. So we should never forget our culture. We should try to maintain our culture and our food habits as far as possible.
Namaste. My name is Ravi Chandran. I have been here since December 1994. I have moved into Germany as a replacement to one of my earlier colleagues who has worked here for about 5-6 years. And then this is a travel company which I joined in India, and then subsequently my boss wanted me as a replacement for my earlier colleague. I have been here since 1994, handling the business of tourists going from Europe to India, basically dealing with all the travel agent companies. I don't deal with customers directly. I handle mostly business from Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and the other parts of Western Europe, including Spain. I found no difficulty in living here, except maybe for the first 6 months or so when it was a little difficult because winter was something new to us. And I came here, as I said, in December. And at the height of the winter season, coming from south of India, which is my normal hometown, I felt a little difficult to adjust for a few months, maybe 2 months. And then slowly I was able to get into the mode of the European living. My predecessor taught me for just about a week before he left for India. And then I had to fend for myself to learn everything about the European lifestyle. That was my first long stay in Europe, although I had come to Europe earlier on a small tour. But this was the first time that I was coming to live in Germany. And I did, as I said, found it a little difficult for about 2 or 3 months, and then everything fell into place. My family followed me after 6 months, and then we've been here since that time. I would say for my daughter, it wasn't too much of a challenge because, as I said, she was a baby at the time, and then moving into the kindergarten, which was not very far away from when we came. When we first came here, we used to live in Sachsenhausen, and near Sachsenhausen, where we lived, there was a kindergarten, and we got admission there for her in the very first attempt. And for her, the only challenge that I think initially she felt was there were perhaps the language barrier, which she initially felt because at home we speak Tamil. And when we came to Germany, the medium of communication was either English or Tamil with her. So in the kindergarten level, I think she may have faced a challenge as far as the German communication was concerned, but she was very good in her communication with her hands and actions. So I think neither the teacher nor she felt so much of difficulty in this thing. Yes, I do accept that for me and my wife, it was a challenge because we had never learnt the language in India. So when we came here, we had some challenges to express ourselves to other people. And in Sachsenhausen at that time, I think, if I remember correctly, there were 2 or 3 Indian families whom we fell upon to ask for help at that time. But of course, when we went to shops and things like that, we had to purely rely on reading the text of whatever is written there. I do remember that I once bought a bottle of Allet for my daughter without realizing that it contained meat, and we are not meat eaters. And then I had to go back to the shop, and to explain to them that we are not meat eaters took me about 10 minutes to tell her that we are vegetarians and we don't eat meat. Of course, luckily for us, the lady understood a little bit of English, and then we managed to get our. So it did pose a challenge in the 1990s for us to settle down, but I think that was not too long. As compared to now, it was maybe 50%. I would say. I think presently we have in the region of Frankfurt, I would say, I think Indian population should be around 23,000. But when we came in the 1990s, the approximate population of the Indian community that was estimated at that time was between 5,500 to 6,000. That was the estimated Indian population in Frankfurt and its surroundings, not in Germany, but Frankfurt and surroundings. The people at that time, mostly that we came across, were either from the State Bank of India, or from the Consulate, or from Air India, or from STC, which existed at that time. And there were hardly any IT families at that time. So from the IT background, we did not find too many. Most of our contacts were established through State Bank of India, or the Consulate, or the Tourist Office, or the Air India. And of course, our biggest contact was through the Verein, which consisted of all the communities put together. As far as the community of people are concerned, I think mostly we met other Indian community people in the Indian functions only. And we did not see other people so often on the streets. Yes, we do celebrate most of our functions which belong to the Tamil community. Of course, we do participate in other cultural festivals of other communities as well. But as far as for us, mostly it's Pongal, Diwali, and some other festivals where we do it at home. And I think we were one of the few families which had on every occasion invited as many people as possible to join us at home. And my daughter, after the functions being celebrated at home, she was quite accustomed to seeing the celebrations at home. She participated in all the possible functions that we did at home, and whenever we used to have it in other people's house, we could take her along, and she had no objections. And she still does join us whenever we do something at home. Distance from our place to India is more than 5,500 kilometers or 6,000 kilometers. We do miss our hometown, especially I come from Chennai, but initially, before coming to Germany, I used to live in Delhi. So Delhi was one of the places where we used to go not only for our regular shopping and things like that. We do miss the shopping of India here as much as when we came here. We could not do so much of shopping of Indian items here like we used to do it in Delhi. Now, of course, we do find everything that's available in India almost here, almost everything. The distance was a factor, is a factor. We do look back to India whenever we go, and my daughter's policy is go to India only for shopping and come back to Germany. That's what her policy is. As far as I am concerned, the tourism-related relationship has grown tremendously. The amount of tourists that used to travel to India in the 1990s were I would say German tourists were somewhere in the region of about maybe 50, 60,000 per year. And over the years that I've lived here, the strength has gone up to about, I'm talking about statistically, it could be more plus minus maybe 5%. We have reached about almost 400,000 to 500,000 German tourists coming to India over a period of these 20 years. So that's as far as the tourism relationship is concerned with India. Other fields like the shooting, the Bollywood shootings, or the Indians coming to Germany to visit them on this thing or to buy property in Germany. I think it has improved tremendously as compared to what it was in the 1990s. I did not at that time hear of many Indians having properties in Germany, but now I think most Indians have properties in Germany. So real estate, in general, the cultural bonding between Germany and India is not bad at all. Germans do understand that we were and are, I wouldn't say a difficult country, but it's a developing country with many issues. People do understand it, but there are certain issues which Germans find it difficult to digest. For example, the caste system or the some of the religious practices that we have. But in general, they understand, and once they understand the background behind which it is done, they don't object like that. Also, another field where I find the Germans have done a lot for India is in the the NGOs which have been supported by German. I know of several NGO families which are run in India, supported purely by German funding. In many parts of South India, there are German fundings going on for NGOs for orphanages or elderly living people. And that's something which Germans have done a lot for India. My message to the Indian community that is moving slowly to live into Germany is to understand the way of life of the Germans to follow discipline, which Indians in general, when they come here, first don't realize it till they are forced to realize. That's one thing that I noticed, that they take a little bit of time to adjust to this way of life, especially in times of for keeping up the timings of any appointment or any kind of meeting times or appointment times. I have seen that happening over a period of time, which I think the Indians must learn. The second thing that Indians have to learn to live here is to respect the German, what do you say, the German regulations in daily routines. The other thing which I would perhaps tell parents is integration into the German society is very important, and I do find that the Indian community, or basically they try these days to integrate amongst the Indian community themselves rather than with the German families and others things like that. It's not very easy to find Germans getting friendly with Germans, but I think they are one of the best people with whom you can make friends, and I think to integrate into the German society, you must try and make more German friends. That's my lesson to that, message to that.
My name is Mani Madathil. I'm basically from South India, precisely from Kerala, and I came to Germany in 1998 through my company transfer. I was never intended to or wanted to come to Germany, but my job situations asked me to come to Germany. I was working in Dubai for a few years. Then the company got closed, and I got a transfer to London. From London, they gave me an offer to Germany to come. Then I was when I came to Germany first, I was thinking the social security and the value for human being in Germany was much better. Then I was thinking to stay back in. When we came first to the Germany, basically the main challenges was the language. I came with my family and without knowing even single word of German. And the first few months we took an intensive language course with Benedict, the language course, and it was so difficult to manage here. Actually, that time the even supermarkets and other things was actually was not available within German descriptions or something. Only the one supermarket was available as a Walmart. Then we used to go every weekend to the Walmart to get something to read in English details, basically. And also when we go out generally to any, for example, the German railways or Deutsche Bahn or something, when they saw us first, the impression from the lot of people was actually no English, no English, something like that. So that was the main challenges actually in Germany when we came here. The time in 1998 or beginning of 2000 when we came here, the people was so reluctant. Even they know a little bit English, but they were so reluctant to speak in English, and they don't want to speak English also. But nowadays, after this century, the passing 2 centuries has passed already now. Now the people are totally, the mentality is totally changed. Now they, even though they don't know English, they'll try to speak English in English actually. And also they started using so many English words. That way, if I look at the time period basically, now Germany, because they also realized the importance of English and the international communication requirement they wanted actually. Now the language is more simpler, and the people are more willing to speak in English, and they try to help you also whatever they can. For us, even though the language was difficult for children, because my son was, when he came here, he was only 3 years. Then he started going to kindergarten, and generally, as you know, the children will pick up the language very fast. Then he started going to school. Then for them, the language was not a problem. But even then, in the beginning stage, he used to try to compare the English words and German words and all that. Then really slowly he realized by end of the first standard, he is really into the language thing actually. And also we also gone for 6 months intensive German course. And my wife is much learned more language than me, and she knows much better about the German grammar, and also she always started helping, sitting with the children and helping with the children for in the school activities and all that. Yeah, even then when we start living in, we decided okay, we can continue and live in Germany. Then even then. At home we speak always our mother tongue, the Malayalam or whatever, plus English. Then we celebrate generally. We celebrate Onam, Vishu, and even Christmas. And we started a small Malayalam school also in Noy City. That way the children was much, we are familiar, we keep continuing with our culture and the food habits. We also make all Indian food at home, and generally every year we will celebrate all these festivals basically. And the children start going to Malayalam schools, and they started learning the language, also Indian language. Plus we had even Hindi classes also sometimes for the children. And also we go every year to India and Kerala, visit with parents, and then they keep updating their language. We try them to learn more local language when we go to Kerala, also at least 3-4 weeks, regular intensive speaking with the parents and our parents and their cousins and all that. When you ask the children about India and culture, even they think that actually India has to grow much more about the social security, as well as the human behavior and towards the environmental things and the eating habits. They think that the Indians are more non-vegetarians, and they may they have to reduce this habit. And even though we are vegetarians basically, so they have a different perspective than us actually. They think India, there's so much poor countries, poor people, and the slums and all that. Even then here in the TV also, sometimes they show only the bad side of the Indian things. So that way they are not very, but even then they are happy to go every year. They would like to visit India and the every year if possible actually. Frankly speaking, even even the words of we are celebrating 75th independence this year, I still feel that as a country, they claim that there's the biggest social country, India. But still, I feel that our political system needs to be completely or to be rechanged actually. The politicians and the political system in India is not as up to the standard of like other European countries. For example, the politician, there is no basic education requirement or number of years a politician can serve the people in India is not defined yet actually. And everyone is trying to hold on to their positions and for decades, and even though they are not capable to administer or give service to the general public, they are not willing to go away or give new generations in India actually. The system has to be changed actually. There should be any minimum social education requirement, and a political the number of terms a politician can be a politician, and needs to be defined in India soon. Then the political change needs to be done. That's what I feel actually.
Hi, I'm Jin. I'm 22 years old and I'm located in Germany. I just finished my bachelor course in business administration and now I'm doing my master's in finance. And yeah, my parents came to Germany in the early 1990s. First of all, my father came to Germany for studies, and after marrying my mother, she also went to Germany, and yeah, a few years later, I was born, also in Cologne, and I'm still living in Cologne with my parents at home. My earliest memories in India, I would say just like playing around the house, because back then we were living in an apartment here in Germany, so there was not so much space in here to play around. So I really enjoyed it being in India because there was so much space in and around the houses of my dad's family and my mother's family. And also I could see many, many different kind of animals which were not existing here in Germany. Yeah. It was not every time a wonderful experience to see them, but it was very interesting. Yeah, I would say in contrast to German parents, I would say Indian parents are more strict and they're kind of like more possessive, I think, because they came to India to have a better life in India and to give us this better life, and then they just wanted to control, I think, that everything will be fine for ourselves. And so I think the level of freedom which were given to German kids were a different level of freedom that we got, or we Indian kids. And but overall it was I'm glad to have Indian parents. I started really early with football. Okay. I had done football in team, And at the same time, I started with classical Indian dance. And I done that, I think, more than 10 years, yes. And at one point I was there to decide for football or Indian classical dance, and I decided for Indian classical dance at that time. And after few years later, it was all stopped, and now just for 2 years or 1 year almost, I restart football again, and yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yes, I would say the amount of German friends and Indian friends are almost balanced. Few more German, I would say, because there are not so many Indian guys in my age, in my location or in the near of my location.
Okay.
But due to football teams, I would say it was more easier to find. Yes, we have done many own celebrations or own events where we have danced from our dance school. And in addition, we dance at many other stages like the Indo-German, how do we say, there was an event from Verein. They created just like a week of Indian experiences with Indian cultural program here in Cologne. And yeah, there were we dancing as a group. And yes, even I think it's a little long time, but I think even for the Embassy of India in Bonn, very, very few years ago, there was also a program where we have performed. Yeah, there are not so many culture shocks, as I would say, because here in Cologne we are living next to many Indian families, especially from Kerala. Even though we were raised here in Germany, we were faced with Indian culture the whole time next to the German culture. But I would say the administrative things in India or in Germany, as I said, are a bit more stable than in India. That's my opinion. I would say I would feel safer, or I'm more comfortable with the way of doing it here in Germany, because in India it's like, I think it's more than you say much, but they don't do it really. Here in Germany you have for everything, I don't know, terms of conditions, everything is written down and everything is obeyed. In India it's not every time, so I'd say. And yeah, I would even say the family connection here in Germany is not as same as in India, because if I see other German friends and their families, first of all, they are very little families, and in contrast to them, we are, I don't know, many cousins, many uncles and aunties. So we have the ability or the possibility to visit more people, and that's in India quite interesting, or more interesting than Germany. I would say they're comfortable being here or living here, because they also get used to the German ways of doing here. But I don't know, if maybe I could imagine that they would go to India for like half a year in India, half a year here in Germany after their retirement.